because if you zoom in on this range right here, everything's a range. When you're talking about consolidation, accumulations, distributions, they're all ranges. So just learn to read ranges. Again, here we'd be looking for 2 degrees of AB basing in a pivot. That's your initial break of structure. That's A. B, that's your secondary, that's your initial counter, right? So that's the first pair. This is your secondary break. Small a, small b, that's, second degree. And now this is the pivot. So I just need a pivot. So that would give me 3 pairs of flat corrections, which would then complete this distributive move to the downside. That's why I believe that Bitcoin's looking for one last push to the upside in this small range on the hourly time frame before moving down. But in the time that Bitcoin moves from the bottom of this small range to the top, altcoins are going to continue to gain against Bitcoin. So maybe if this represents in Bitcoin a 2%, 1.5% move, in altcoins, it may be 10%, 15, 20%. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm seeing in the immediate short term. Hello everyone, my name's Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is December 22nd, 2023. And right now, the market is looking like it's going to be a crypto Christmas. I mean, it's about time. If you just look at this chart that I have pulled up right now is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin, the total 2 chart, basically all of the assets in crypto minus Bitcoin. It shows you exactly what I've been talking about, that for pretty much 500 plus days, we've been going sideways and have been in consolidation. And in a consolidation of this kind, I mean, you can trade it, but it's very difficult to trade. It's very difficult to make any money, right? You're essentially just caught in a holding pattern, okay? Yes, there's a little bit of amplitude right here, right? A little bit of movement up and down, but then try predicting that is very challenging because by nature, by design, these well, I don't know if it's by design, but essentially the nature of these consolidation markets, these corrective markets, is that they're unpredictable and they're almost random, right? They're fixed in a certain range typically. So we have a range, but for 500 days, it's going up and down in a way that we don't know really how to predict. But eventually what happens is these ranges break out. And this is exactly what we're doing here. So we're racing to $1 trillion, which is, as I've been saying, the next likely significant resistance for altcoins. So this is what we're experiencing. Last video, I was saying how altcoins are on the brink of a major breakout, right? Altcoins are bullish. And if you've been paying attention to the market, you will have seen just that. Altcoins one by one taking their turn, popping up to the upside. Okay, so we had this right here that took its time. I mean, everything in this market seems as if it's been taking its time. Meanwhile, Bitcoin has gone from what 20 some odd thousand all the way up to 45,000 in the 2023 calendar year, and most altcoins have done little to nothing. But after this mini consolidation, we're seemingly getting a breakout, right? So this is really good, and just in time for the holidays, just in time for Christmas, because it looks like Santa's not neglecting us crypto aficionados, us crypto investors, crypto speculators. We're finally going to get something in our stocking under the tree, so to speak. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing right now. If you look at your watch lists, you're probably seeing the same thing. Let's go to a watch list right here, right? You're seeing a significant amount of green. Okay, it's significant because it day on, day out, right? If you look at the daily gains, the change pattern, the change percentage rather, you will see 5 to 10% one day, the next day 5 to 10%, the next day 5 to 10%, next day 25%. This is how gains build on gains, and in the matter of the week, you might see an asset move 80, 90%, 50, 60%, something like that. So this is exactly what we've been looking for. Now, that being said, what is Bitcoin likely to do? What is the next big move for Bitcoin? Well, we've charted it out with a high degree of probability. Our next significant move, right, is this C wave to the downside, okay? Right? The C wave to the downside. So we have to look out for that. We have to be careful for that, about that. But even that being said, you don't want to get too bearish on most altcoins. Not all altcoins, but most altcoins, because most altcoins are in a proper legitimate breakout. Okay, not all altcoins, but if you look on the high time frame of your the altcoin that you're planning on investing in, just be mindful to see that you're coming out of some sort of holding pattern, some sort of accumulation, some sort of consolidation, right? And that it hasn't already popped up and out like an R-weave, like a maybe R-weave's not a good example. Maybe R-weave's fine, but like a chain link, right? Where you've already gotten that move, okay, of this consolidation, and you're likely going to get a retest before another big move to the upside, okay? So just be mindful of that. I mentioned that in last video, but I want to repeat this because it bears repeating, right? But you do want to look out for breakouts in altcoins, and this Bitcoin dominance chart is telling you just that. What is Bitcoin dominance? It's a measure of Bitcoin's dominance in the crypto market versus the rest of the cryptocurrency market. And if Bitcoin dominance is going up, that means Bitcoin is gaining in market share against altcoins. Bitcoin dominance is going down, the exact opposite. Altcoins are finally gaining in dominance against Bitcoin, okay? So that's what we're seeing here. Do you see that? You're seeing a very strong move to the downside in Bitcoin dominance, telling you it is time to be in altcoins. Altcoins are going to significantly gain on Bitcoin for the immediate short term, okay? And so that's what we're experiencing right now on this chart. And what else is there to say? Yes, Bitcoin. What can we expect from Bitcoin in the immediate short term? Like I said, that move down of the C wave. But before we get that, right, what should you expect? Well, you should expect Bitcoin. So here we are on the 4-hourly time frame. Let's actually go on the hourly time frame. Guys, if you're getting value, please like, share, and subscribe. What we should expect with a high degree of probability is for Bitcoin to make one small move up, one more small move up to the top of this range, which also represents the top of this larger range, okay? And once it does that, it may even break through, but once it does that, pivot, and then finally make that move to the downside, okay? And why am I expecting that? Well, first, on the high time frames, we thought this was likely because we previously had been stuck under 38,000, right? All this accumulation under 38,000 finally broke up. We need to retest that high time frame resistance as support, okay? That needs to be retested by hook or by crook. So that's one thing that's happening. Second thing that's happening is we're getting the quintessential A, B, C, okay? And that can be further broken down into 3 waves in A, 3 waves in B, and then a pivot down to C. So that's all that we have mapped out here. So that first initial break of structure should end, or it should result in that move down to the $38,000 level. But beforehand, on the small time frames, just like we said just now, you can expect a move to the top of this range, Because if you zoom in on this range right here, everything's a range. When you're talking about consolidation, accumulations, distributions, they're all ranges. So just learn to read ranges. Again, here we'd be looking for 2 degrees of AB basing in a pivot. That's your initial break of structure. That's A. B, that's your secondary, that's your initial counter, right? So that's the first pair. This is your secondary break. Small a, small b, that's, second degree. And now this is the pivot. So I just need a pivot. So that would give me 3 pairs of flat corrections, which would then complete this distributive move to the downside. That's why I believe that Bitcoin's looking for one last push to the upside in this small range on the hourly time frame before moving down. But in the time that Bitcoin moves from the bottom of this small range to the top, altcoins are going to continue to gain against Bitcoin. So maybe if this represents in Bitcoin a 2%, 1.5% move, in altcoins it may be 10%, 15, 20%. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm seeing in the immediate short term. But the plan, if you will, on the higher time frame, according to this very representative, very what's the word I'm looking for? Reliable. According to this very reliable chart, if you're invested in most altcoins, right? Not all altcoins, but most altcoins, you should expect a move to the upside, and you should be looking to take profit on those moves on the high time frame when we get to the next major resistance, which is the $1 trillion mark. And that would represent a completed breakout of this 525-day range that we'd been in for more than 2023. So half of 2022, most of all of 2023, we didn't get any movement by and large in altcoins, and now we're just getting that movement. But remember what happens after you break out of a high time frame long-standing resistance. You have to retest it as support. This is why this would be wise to look to take profits. But I will also say there's no rush. Any pivot back down is going to take some time. You're not just going to hit it and then come right back down. Typically what happens is you reach your targets, you put in a distributive cycle, distributive range, and then you finally break down from it. So there is no rush, but once we get to that region, it'd be wise to look to take profits. Guys, that's all I've got. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was useful. Like, share, and subscribe. Hope you're enjoying your holidays. And yeah, enjoy these holiday gains. I mean, we haven't had these in a very long time. So please do enjoy that. So take care. I'll see you next time. Bye.